It's yesterday.
Because there was so much venom in the way he threw that shut up at whoever it is that said he's out of order.
Yeah, because sometimes the speakers are ruling and you hear shouts at the background. People don't even hear what the speaker is saying. And you see, yes, parliamentary democracy, a few things are allowed, but I think that some of our MPs are abusing the processes. And so if you don't catch the speaker's eye, for instance, you don't speak. So why do you start by saying out of order? The speaker out of order? We joke too much in this country.
And you see, it must have really annoyed him because that's exactly what he was talking about at the time. Mm-hmm. The fact that they are being unruly.
So the question is, this unruly behavior begin today? Is it in the regime of Bagbin? What has accounted for that? So we can do some prognosis on that. How come our MPs on the floor of the House, they decide to behave anyhow? You are supposed to be seen by the speaker, given the opportunity to speak by the speaker. You are not given the opportunity, and then you can sit from anywhere, and then you are making noise. Why? Why have we gotten to where we are now, such that a house that is supposed to be, an iconic house of, where people look up to make certain sound decisions and act according to a particular behavior as honorable people, behave in court, maybe to say a dishonorable way is unspeakable.
Well, the talk about honorable people and all of that and makes sound decisions and all of that. We know that our parliament is controlled by the party. You see, so people do not go to parliament based on their opinions. In other jurisdictions, you're being voted for because this is what you believe in. And so there are times, for instance, that even though the Conservative Party, for instance, you don't have all their members supporting a government decision. Unfortunately for us, yes, we have seen it before, because when it got to the voting, for instance, the secret voting, we saw people, going against their party's position. Yeah. But that notwithstanding, the other issue is that when it comes to other forms of voting, people go the same way. They have to, we are together. You've heard members of parliament from the majority side say, there are some minority members who support the e-levy. You've heard the minority members saying, there are some majority members who don't support the e-levy. But the question is, can they come out there? So while we may want to deceive ourselves that we're practicing a kind of a system where people can openly say, I disagree, I don't support this, our MPs unfortunately cannot openly go against party positions, sadly.
And you see, I always say that our leaders come from among us. Okay, and this is what we are like. If something is not going our way, and you understand, that's how we are, right? And we do this. We do this without any thought for its impact on others, especially the people we are representing. I used to think that maybe, look, what is needed is some kind of orientation for those who come into parliament. Teach them some of the do's and don'ts. But no, I'm sorry. There are people who have been there for 3-4 terms. We saw them all misbehaving, and this thing where people just shout and say whatever they like, and this. You see, the speaker was trying to bring home the fact that this particular parliament is perhaps the most important one we've had in the Fourth Republic, where the numbers are so close, and so every decision matters. This is when democracy is supposed to be most visible. But if it is democracy that parliament represents, then fighting and stealing ballot boxes, these are the exact opposite of democracy, the exact antithesis of it. And the last place you should be seeing this is in parliament. So now he's even threatening them with arrests and all kinds of things.
Does he have that power to call for the arrest of any
Parliament is a master of its own rules.
And what will be the reaction? We know how we do politics, partisan politics in the country. Imagine an MPP man has been arrested, following the orders of the speaker. What will happen?
Well, first of all, if it's not unlawful, then all you can do is express your opinion about it. All you can say is, he's acting against MPP. But if what he has done is lawful, that's that.
So, Kojo, don't you think some of these actions are deliberate just to make the speaker angry? Because this is not the first time the speaker expressed some level of dissatisfaction about the fact that he makes a ruling, travels for some purpose, comes back, the first deputy speaker decides to do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And that was a thing that actually made him very angry that I took a decision as the Speaker of the House, I've left and you've decided not to consult me and you overturned my ruling. He sees that to be a disrespect. Don't you think perhaps it is a calculated attempt to just frustrate him? Because they are frustrating them too? on the floor of Parliament.
I mean, how do you? Well, I mean, can you frustrate a speaker?
How can you frustrate the
You
speaker?
cannot. You cannot, because you see, the point is, the speaker, once in the chair, will make rulings.
Yeah.
If he makes rulings which you think are not the best, there's a way of going about it. You can come back and challenge that ruling. I mean, the standing orders of Parliament will provide ways of going about it. Where we find ourselves as a country is that some people in Parliament, particularly those within the majority, still do not understand that you have a hung Parliament, because it's 137, and you have an independent candidate deciding to join the NPP side to make it the majority group. It's not the NPP the NPP does not have a majority in Parliament. Let no one be deceived.
And here's the other thing that people sometimes, people sometimes don't realize. Even though the independent candidate has declared his intention of doing business with the NPP side, he's not obliged under any law to do so. He could vote against them if he wanted to. If he wanted to. So there is nothing about that man's position that makes him an automatic part of their side, except that once he's declared that he wants to do business, they create a caucus, they form a caucus, and he's part of that caucus. But I don't see how the NPP can claim to be in majority. The person who they are relying on for that majority is somebody they kicked out of their party. It's ridiculousness. You see, for me, the thing that upsets me is how grown-ups can disrupt activity as if they are children.
They are humans.
No.
They are humans.
So are we.
They are not cyborgs.
So are we.
That's not
an excuse.
Yeah.
So are we. The three of us here are human beings. Do we, conduct ourselves without decorum because we are human beings? Do we turn up here and use the fact that our DNA as an excuse to misbehave? We don't. I don't see why they should.
Charlie, there you go.
Hello, Betty.